Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashemi Hashai, Bahashema Kakwadesh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, or the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds, who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Hashai, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Ezekiel, and this video is about the process spoken about in Ezekiel chapter 38. Alright, and that has to do with Iran, Turkey, and Russia. Alright, and here it is: Erdogan backs Iranian response to Israel. It says Tehran has a legal right to defend itself from West Jerusalem's banditry and state terrorism, the Turkish president has said. Now, this is important because this kind of response that Turkey has towards the state of Israel, all right, and siding with that side with Iran, which also includes Russia and the rest of those allies, is something that is a part of Bible prophecy, okay? In the book of Ezekiel chapter 38, and verse 2, it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And this is talking about the Russians as they dwell in the land that Gog and Magog once dwelt. The Russians themselves, they are Edomites. Edomites are these so-called white people whose forefather is Esau. They are the wicked, and they're the ones that are currently in rulership. All right, and Russia is an Edomite led country, right? And thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Okay? Talking about Russia. And I'll turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I'll bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. So Russia is going to have the spirit put upon them to go to war. Even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So they're going to have a great company, Russia, which is going to be Russia's allies. Persia, which Persia is known today as Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya. Those are the so-called Africans. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. So these are some of the allies of Russia. All right, the scriptures mention Persia, which is Iran, and then the African countries. And when you look at current events and the relationship between Russia and Iran, I mean, that's very obvious, you know, very strong alliance. And then Russia and the African nations, you know, there has been time that I have observed and brought out of the relationship that has grown and developed between Russia and the African countries, so-called, okay? And then when you look at the BRICS, BRICS, you can see who else is aligned with Russia. Essentially, what Russia has done, Russia is an Edomite, dominated country, superpower of the world of sorts. And then you have them who has enlisted the help of the other heathen, the so-called Africans, the so-called Iranians, okay, and the rest of them, right? And then you have on the other end, you have America, which is Babylon the Great. You have NATO, which is the beast, and the European Union, which is the 10 horns. And then you have the state of Israel, which is an unofficial member of NATO, as they have declared, all right? So that side as well is an Edomite, Edomite dominated countries and led, America, European Union, NATO, the state of Israel, okay? And then it says, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. Now this right here is talking about Turkey, and it's the same thing regarding the explanation, just like in Ezekiel 38 and 2, where Gog and Magog, Russia now dwells in that land that they once dwelt. It's the same thing here. Turkey is in that land, or is that land where Gomer and Togarmah once dwelt. So it's talking about Turkey. So this right here is saying that Turkey is going to be a part of Russia's alliance with Iran and the rest of them. Then it also says, "Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." So Russia is a guard unto its allies. Okay, if it gets to a certain point, Russia will defend their allies. Okay, and I said like that because right now Iran is getting hit, but Russia hasn't gone to their defense as yet. But the prophecy says that Russia is a defense for its allies. So eventually Russia is going to defend Iran. Okay. But that's just going to be something to happen in, whenever it happens, right? But, you know, the topic at hand as well overall is Turkey. So Turkey is going to be a part of Russia's alliance, right? But the thing is, Turkey right now is a part of NATO. So things are going to be happening where the relationship between Turkey and NATO and America and the EU and that section of the alliance, something's going to happen where Turkey breaks away and joins Russia and her allies, here, because it's very explicitly stated in just a whole section. Ezekiel 38 and verse 6 mentions Turkey. So this is what we're witnessing here. And this is a continuous build-up because the entire situation between the state of Israel and Palestine, Turkey has come out and has condemned the state of Israel many times regarding the situation. All right, so that relationship between Turkey and its current alliance is already deteriorating, but it is going to deteriorate because it's Bible prophecy. Now you have this right here where Erdogan backs Iran, who is sided with Russia, which is on the other side of the battle, okay, against America, NATO, EU, and the state of Israel. Okay, once again, Tehran has a legal right to defend itself from West Jerusalem's banditry and state terrorism. Iran has a legitimate right to respond to Israel's attacks, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has said, accusing West Jerusalem of engaging in banditry and state terrorism. He also compared Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to a Hitler, okay? And that's very serious, right? But this is the deterioration of the relationship between Turkey and its current alliance, and Turkey is going to be joining the other side, as the prophecy states will happen. This is actually quite serious news regarding the developments of Bible prophecy. Israel began bombing Iran on Friday, claiming Tehran is nearing the completion of a nuclear bomb. Iran dismissed the accusations and retaliated to the Israeli military operation with waves of drone and missile strikes on the Jewish state. It is entirely natural, legitimate, and lawful for Iran to defend itself against Israel's banditry and state terrorism, Erdogan said during a parliamentary group meeting in Ankara. The Turkish president strongly criticized Israel's leadership for its acts of aggression, claiming that Netanyahu has long suppressed the tyrant Hitler in the crime of genocide. And yes, I'm pronouncing it as such intentionally because of the algorithm. He also condemned the global inaction of Israel's aggression in Gaza. There it is. There it is, what I mentioned before. And I'm reading this article fresh. Okay. Seen by the UN Rights Committee as characteristic of genocide, stating that the blood of massacred civilians, murdered babies, and children is splattered not only on the hands and faces of those who support the state of Israel's arrogance, but also on those who remain silent. Turkey is doing everything we can to stop what he called inhumane aggression, not only against Iran, but also Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, Erdogan insisted. Stopping the state of Israel's aggression is essential for the world and humanity. So this is a very clear stance. To me, they are against it. I mean, the president of Turkey is comparing the president of the state of Israel to the Hitler person, which, even that whole situation, Anyway, the government is committed to safeguarding the country's interest, peace, and security, is prepared, etc. Russia has condemned the Israeli campaign as illegal and warned that strikes on Iran's nuclear infrastructure could trigger a nuclear catastrophe, right? Because Russia is a guard onto its allies, and the first ally mentioned is Iran. So you see how the state of Israel is like constantly poking at Iran, and then you see Iran being riled up and getting ready to want to fight them. This is all a part of Bible prophecy. There's a reason why it is Iran being targeted, and it's not like some other country. It's Iran, because Iran in the scripture is mentioned first, as Russia's ally. And the scriptures say Russia is going to be a guard unto them. So, I mean, you know, so there it is. Russia says that it could lead to nuclear catastrophe. In a statement on Tuesday, the Russian Foreign Ministry said Israel, so that's today, said Israel's attacks on peaceful atomic sites violate international law and threaten global stability. U.S. President Donald Trump, however, has backed Israel and demanded Iran's unconditional surrender. See, so America backs the state of Israel because America is really set up for the defense of the state of Israel. They are the two closest allies because even America's allies, besides, the Turkey is clearly just moving away at a rapid pace, but you have NATO and the EU that are America's allies, but also that relationship is going to deteriorate. It's going to deteriorate and it's going to reach to the point where they aid in America's destruction. America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. Revelation 17 verse 16, and the 10 horns, which is the European Union, which thou sawest upon the beast, which is NATO, these shall hate the whore, which is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So America is going to be burned and destroyed, and NATO and the EU are going to contribute to America's destruction. So something is going to happen along the way where the relationship is completely broken off. But you can see that it's been deteriorating over the past few months with the whole situation with Ukraine and whatever, where Trump intentionally left out EU and the NATO in the talks, upsetting them. And then you have a certain spirit upon them right now, like Macron, which is the leader of France, and whoever else, man, they are, feeling some type of way about America. And eventually it's going to be where they break off and, something's going to happen where they're going to, shoot missiles at them. So it's really just America and the state of Israel together, that are going to remain allied, but they're also going to be destroyed because they're going to lose. Because the scripture says the least of the flock shall draw them out, talking about the state of Israel, drawing out Babylon, which is America, and that it says it shall make their habitation desolate with them. So they're going to draw them out to go to war. The state of Israel, by its actions, is going to draw out America to go to war, and then America is going to lose. Then eventually America is going to be blasted by thermonuclear fire. But you see, the destruction of America will not occur until the mark of the beast prophecy is fully fulfilled. So keep eyes out on that. All right, but we're seeing it in real time, the deterioration of the relationship between Turkey and its allies. On Tuesday, he claimed that American allies have control complete over the skies over Iran. Okay, cool. So, but anyway, Turkey is against them, as you can see, the response. And this is just because of Bible prophecy. And then I just want to finish it off. Let me see. I think it's in Mark. Is it 2? No. Oh, Mark 3. Mark 3 and verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand, and Esau's kingdom is divided against itself. This entire fight that's going on and what's escalating is all by the Edomites, right? And they've enlisted, well, in the case of Russia, has enlisted the help of the heathen to help them in their cause. But this is an Edomite skirmish, okay? And if Satan rise up against himself, Satan referring to the so-called white man, Satan, right, going into where Satanas, which goes into adversary, right? Adversary to who? Yahweh Shemishan, to the Israelites, rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but at an end. So he cannot stand, he has an end. If a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. So Esau's house is divided, his kingdom is divided. So it's going to come to an end, but this kingdom was always slated for destruction. But this is one of the signs to show, a fragmented kingdom where there's no harmony among the powers of the rulers. It's going to fall apart and collapse, and that's what we're witnessing, the fall of our enemy. All right, so anyway, that's just an update regarding the prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 38. All right, and Turkey. So that's all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai Bashar Kodesh. Shalom.